Hi guys, I'm Lauren Bingham. I'm the Director of Communications and Member Relations for Texas PTA. We are launching a new initiative to spotlight some of the great ideas and the amazing projects that you guys are that you have going on a local level, and making sure that everybody knows about it and help inspire more folks to replicate and get great ideas from all the other things that each other are doing. So today I've got some special guests with me that I want to introduce to you. So Lenny, if you can kick us off and introduce yourself, your name, your position, and your district.
Hey everybody, I'm Lenny Legal, and we are from Northside Independent School District in San Antonio, Texas, and I am the president at Rawlinson Middle School.
Jill, and then Martha, you want to go?
Hi, I am Jill Kudzik-Cullinan, and I am the VP of Programs under Lenny with Rawlinson Middle School in Northside Independent School District.
And I'm Martha. I'm the VP of Membership at Grisham Middle School in Round Rock ISD.
Thank you so much. So I know when I originally saw it, Martha, you had posted some information about the event you had and then said, hey, credit due, I learned about this from another PTA. So Lenny, can you give us a little bit of background about how this idea came about and just kind of your initial planning phase of putting this together?
Awesome. So I will tell you, Jill is our programs at Rawlinson, and she's very involved with different nonprofits and things. And one of the things we had talked about is communicating with the community and getting our kids involved in the community. And so she really took this and contacted a bunch of different organizations throughout San Antonio, and really was passionate about bringing people who wanted younger children and younger students into the schools. She really wanted to just kick that off with at the beginning of the school year with anybody who needed service hours, who would love to go in and get service hours. And we have a pretty large community and a pretty large NJHS community. And so that was really one of the reasons we targeted the nonprofits at the very beginning of the year.
Great, thank you. And so when we have kind of talked a little bit about each of your events, I know in both cases, y'all both said it's not a super complicated event, but it just takes a lot of time to go back and forth with logistics and lots of emails. So can you tell me a little bit about when you started planning this and kind of how long it took, Martha?
Well, I mean, we saw the post about the idea, I think a day after it happened. It was in the beginning of September. And we knew we needed to recreate this event at our school. Our school's an IB school, and so service hours and increasing social awareness are two things that we focus on. And so as soon as we got our IB coordinator and our principal on board, which they were right away, we started reaching out to organizations that we knew. And we quickly realized that in order to have something in the fall, we should have started in the summer. So notes for next year. And so our event was in January and almost got canceled by the bad weather. So thank goodness we had planned it for a Wednesday, not the Tuesday where we had a 2-hour delay. So not in January again. Do not recommend January. But yeah, it takes a few months.
Good note. Probably January and February at this point are going to be real dicey weather months.
Yeah.
Jill, I know that you mentioned about getting your school buy-in and how helpful that was for you, but then also, oh my goodness, I just ran out of my brain. Tell me about getting your school buy-in and how that process worked.
Well, so we really just had to connect with our admin team, and they connected with the counseling department, gave us a date, gave us a time, and gave us a place. And we just had it in the cafeteria leading up to the event. Now, honestly, that couldn't happen until the school had built out their calendar. So there was a little bit of a waiting period there. I believe I started connecting with the nonprofits right when the school year ended, because I knew that going into the summer, I was going to lose people to vacations and whatnot. I didn't want my emails to get buried. So I just kind of started working that process slowly. But then the teachers or the admin, I'm sorry, did ask for just a quick little PowerPoint to help drive the point home for the teachers so that they could build just a short lesson plan about the benefits of community involvement. And so, yeah, I mean, it kind of became a whole thing unto itself for even just a portion of our students because it was our first year and we just didn't have the capability to do the entire campus of 1,300 students.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, I love seeing that the willingness is there. The idea is there. They just kind of need somebody to get the ball rolling. And you had the advantage of that long lead time allows you to kind of build in some other components. I know you mentioned as far as timing goes that you saw that a lot of your organizations and nonprofits will hold more events in the fall that lend themselves to volunteer opportunities. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the fall is typically a time when you'll see a lot of 5Ks, a lot of drives, a lot of things because not just the school year ramping up, but it's just that season. And so you really do, if you're going to do something in the fall, they really want a date, really by as soon as they can. They're very willing to, if it's only going to be a few hours of the day, especially during the school day, your odds are pretty good that they're going to be able to be there. But I think I had a date to them, gosh, right when the school year started. Because Lenny, correct me if I'm wrong, our admin team was working on their schedule through the summer and then committed to it, I feel like that very first week of school. And so I had a date range. I just didn't have an exact time and specific date, but yeah, it all worked out. But yeah, you definitely, if you're going to do it in the fall, you really want to make sure that you can get that information from your admin team as reasonably well as possible because yeah, they're going to have conferences, 5Ks, 10Ks, fun runs. It's just that time of year.
Great, thank you. Tell me a little bit, Martha, about, and then Jill or Lenny, if you can follow up too, about how you identified the organizations that you worked with, and kind of tell me a little bit about the structure of kind of how you set up what the gym, the cafeteria looked like, and who you invited to be there.
Okay. So, I mean, we're looking for volunteer opportunities for 11 to 14-year-olds. They don't drive. They have busy families. They probably have other siblings that are going here, there, and everywhere. I know several families who have kids in elementary, middle, and high school. And so it's a busy time and they're in the middle of everything, right? So our focus was to be as local as we could. We had our ISD's clothes closet representative there. That's just about as local as you can get. Our neighborhood district puts on several events like an Earth Day celebration and an Easter egg hunt, and they're always looking for volunteers to help, even if it's pick up trash or just set up tables, that kind of stuff. That's something that 11 to 14-year-olds can do, and it's easy for their parents to get them there. So that was our focus, was staying as local as we could. Also opening the eyes of our students to the community around them and what was out there. As far as our setup, since we worked with our IB coordinator, she had our janitorial staff have all the tables set up. We have a kind of a large lobby in front of our cafeteria, and our event was from 10:30 to 1:30. So once the kids went into the cafeteria, we have 3 grades, 3 lunches. And our school is only 600 kids, so it's a little bit easier to invite everyone to come. Our IB coordinator went into each lunch, reminded them, had already talked to them about the events, they knew it was coming, and just said, hey, you're invited once you get your food or you're done eating to come out into the lobby and visit each participant. And so you could come if you wanted to. If you didn't want to come, you didn't have to. Some kids I know came because their friends were coming, but everyone who chose to come got exposed to what was going on in their local community. We had a food pantry there. We had opportunities to do collection drives for children in foster care, a mobile food pack event, just a lot of things that are going on right there. And even after the event, the president of our neighborhood association let me know about a creek cleanup. I didn't even know about that, but since she knew she'd heard about this event, now we have even more opportunities for our students.
Thank you. All right, Jill, Lenny, how did you guys identify the organizations that participated?
Well, so in San Antonio, we have a great resource on our city website that helps people connect with local organizations that need help specifically for minors. And so like the city actually has its own organization that does that. So it was really helpful. However, there's organizations that are nationwide, like volunteermatch.org. Really just you can go on there, put in your information, what you're looking for. They may not have everybody, but they have a really good comprehensive list. And then on top of it, these people all know one another. So if you connect with one of them, they're going to be able to snowball. I had a few of the people that came said, "Can I please send this to some of my colleagues?" I'm like, "Yeah, please do." So once you get the ball rolling, these are people who are in this because they want to help their community. They're not likely to say no if you ask them to forward it to a few of their colleagues in the nonprofit sector.
Yeah, and I should add, we got connected with the group in Austin. So if you're an ISD in the Austin area called Austin Allies, and their whole focus of a nonprofit is to find volunteer opportunities for families. So like perfect. And so they knew people, and one of our participants came from their network, and they had run nonprofit fairs before. So like Jill was saying, people in this type of work, they want to be there, they want to help. They were so easy to work with. And so it was a really good experience. A lot of emails, but a really good experience.
Yeah, and they come with their own setups. They have it. They have tablecloths, they have swag, they have fun ways to engage the kids. And, no matter what it is, one of our organizations helps the homeless, and this guy brought this huge blanket made out of plastic garbage bags and like HEB bags. Just to show, how they keep people warm in the winter. And the kids thought it was the coolest thing, So, just different ways to engage them. You really don't have to do anything other than, provide them a space. They all have tables. You can provide tables. You don't have to. I provided some donuts and water and Starbucks just as a, thank you. But this is something that a PTA can run for $0.
Great. Great. I'm so glad you brought that up because I know budget is always top of mind, budget and volunteer resources. And so being able to see that when you're inviting in other groups who are used to doing this, it really lightens the load on you guys, and that cost is pretty minimal. So hopefully, this can be a pretty good and easy event to replicate.
Well, and you said volunteer resources. I had 3 people come and help, and they were just kind of standing around. They were more excited to just be there, but like we didn't know what we didn't know. Like we didn't know how much help we'd need. And we all just kind of stood around and just made sure that everybody had water and that the kids were just kind of moving through. But that was it. I could have done it with 2 people.
Martha, what about you? About how many
Yeah.
volunteers and budget?
Same for us. I mean, I got snacks because I was asking people to be there during their lunch hour. We had a place where they could put their purses and, a locked office and whatnot. But yeah, they had their carts, they had their tables, they had their setups. I mean, it was great. It was really easy.
Awesome. Thank you. So, Lenny, I know Martha had mentioned that they are a much more modest sized 600 about students campus. You guys are extremely large. I call it like a mega campus of 1,300 middle
Yes.
schoolers. How did y'all handle the logistics of when the students came and who was invited?
So we had actually worked with our principal and some of the history and English teachers, and we have a Com Apps program that's actually it's a high school class for 8th graders. They do a couple different semesters, and they have teachers for that too. So we opened it to the principal opened it to those who she thought would benefit, but also had the ability to integrate this into their TEKS. Pretty much is what I mean. If you want to know standards, always. It always breaks down to that. And so she kind of introduced it to those. That's why Jill had done the slide of why it's important to be involved in your community, what you can give back, just introducing those ideas to the students. And so the principal really did that. Our hope is that next year, because we kind of know a little bit more of what we are doing. And Jill has probably more people already on her list of people. She only had 13, right? Only had for the last one. But to have more involvement from the community with those nonprofits, but also with more of our students, there was no way with what we didn't know, to do all 1,300 at that time. I would love for it to be something that next year we could reach even more students from other than I think it was 3 or 4 classrooms per half hour. Jill, is that what it was? It was not very.
Yeah, I think at most we had 5 classes during the first segment, and we had 3 segments, so 3 periods.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. Can each of you talk about, Martha and then Jill, how you guys communicated this out to your campus, to your students, to your parents? How did y'all advertise this event?
Well, we're so fortunate to partner with our IB coordinator. So she's in classrooms. And so that took care of most of it for us. It was also on our social media, our school social media. It was in our weekly PTA newsletter to members. And so we got out the word that way just to kind of build anticipation, and parents were asking questions. And so that was good. And then I would say our IB coordinator took care of most of the publicizing of the event. And then after the event, I was able, because we took pictures, like Jill said, we had board members there as volunteers. We all had on our PTA shirts, but we didn't really have to do much. We just watched the kids engage, and that was great. But taking pictures and then afterwards doing a highlight post for each vendor, and then, thanking them and letting them know, hey, this is what we shared. Our PTA page is private. You have to be a parent, or, you have to ask to join, basically. So we just wanted to let them know, hey, this is what we highlighted on you. And we posted the links again of how everyone can sign up to serve.
I'm going to throw that one to Lenny, because she really was more involved with how that process went down than I was. I was kind of more busy just emailing people and making sure that they were going to be there.
So for our advertisement, we really just Jill's PowerPoint and getting the principal on board. And then the principal really did that with the teachers. It was during the school day, so we didn't have to invite everybody else in. Afterwards, we did provide the list of everybody who attended to all of our entire community. Our principal does a s'more newsletter every week, and so that went out to the entirety of the school. We also did on our Facebook, we have a person that does all of our social media for our PTA. So it went out on Facebook, it went out on Instagram, it went out, and then we have a couple of members in our PTA who are on our council as well, or on Texas or Northside Council. So they also pushed it out, which is how Texas PTA got involved in the first place, is they all pushed it out. So it kind of bubbled that way, with just getting as many people to see how awesome the event, because I will tell you, just personally, I had 3 or 4 parents reach out to me just because they know that PTA was the one who sponsored the event. They all reached out to me and said, oh my gosh, my kid went to this thing this morning and was so excited. My kid went to this thing. I have jackets that I can bring to you. And at the time, I didn't even know which organization they were talking about that needed the jackets. We have connected it since then, but they were so excited. That was my most favorite part, was watching all of the excitement that everybody had. So that was kind of more for me. Jill put the whole thing together, and my job was really like the PR and make sure everybody knows how amazing this was for our kiddos and for our community, and how it was going to bubble that way.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because again, I say y'all PTAs have so many amazing things that you are doing constantly. And I know that you do it for the kids and for the cause. And it feels unnatural to toot your own horn and to broadcast that, hey, we love our school. This wasn't a school thing. This was a PTA. PTA did this. And especially for something like this, where it's going on during the school day, it's open to students, the parent and community base at large may not be aware of this. It's such a great opportunity, and a membership opportunity too, for you guys to show this is a value added. This is a thing that will serve our students, that can not only get them involved now, but teach them these life lessons and ingrain this sense of community and service that's going to serve them for the rest of their lives. So I love that that's going out for this school day event is rippling out through the rest of the parents and community. So I love hearing that. Tell me, speaking of the parent that came back and said, my kid was so excited about this. And again, any parent of middle schoolers, we know, I think Jill, you said this is the age of indifference where it's just cool to not care and to not get excited. That's got to be really invigorating to host an event that gets middle schoolers excited about something. So Jill and then Martha, can you talk a little bit more about the impact that you saw from this, from the student side, how it impacted teachers and classrooms? I know, Lenny, you mentioned the TEKS and how some of your classes kind of integrated it that way. And then did I say students, classrooms, and then how it impacted the community groups and kind of how you tracked all that information?
Well, I have a personal connection with one of the organizations, and just before this call, I was texting with her manically because I just never even thought to get a metric. And she said that they've seen about a 7% uptick that they saw from that single event. And then on top of it, a lot of those kids and family members are still participating in helping the organization. And you know, kids helping the community is not just good for the community, it's good for the kids. And that's from all areas of income, culture, perspective, everything. And so it was really cool to see that the kids were engaged. They were actually interested in what was going on. Again, these people are good at what they do. They're really good at helping these kids explore what their options are to help. And it's, you know, it's not just all about the, well, you have to have so many hours to do this or to complete this project. It's about, you know, they don't focus on that. They just use that as a way to get people invited into the system. And then they're like, hey, this is so cool. Look at what you're doing, you know. And the kids just, they really loved it. And the teachers were really excited. I mean, they just kept saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe, like, how do you even do this? Why did you guys even think about this? You know? And it was like, well, I mean, everybody knows about the big ones, you know, Humane Society, food banks, those are wonderful organizations, but these small organizations, they actually really need the help a lot more. And so it was just really cool. And the admin was so excited. I mean, everybody, it was palpable, the excitement in the air. And for days after, I mean, Lenny kept hearing from people, you know, I kept hearing from people. You know, it was such a positive impact for the school community as a whole.
Well, and I just to add to what Jill said, after the whole thing happened, and I had heard from a couple of them, we actually carried this to our high school as well. I'm involved in the PTA at my high school as well. And my son is over there, and we actually took the list of what Jill had sent out that we had given to the parents, and he and the students from the high school at Clark High School actually took the list and contacted someone even more local than what Jill had already given us, and were able to do a huge quote drive. They did a huge food drive for the San Antonio Food Bank. That one I know was over 500 pounds of food. I got that one because they do that weighing for you. I didn't do that, but they also did the quote drive. But to see what Jill's probably 400 or 500 students got to do, and then watch it hit the community and hit all of the social media and things, then to watch it hit the high school and just keep bubbling. I think that was to see it keep going that way. And still that all of those high schoolers now using the same resources that Jill had introduced to some of their siblings and to us on the PTA board it was pretty awesome.
We had parents who were bummed that their kids didn't get to make it.
Yes.
And I was like, well, hang on, we're doing it again next year. You know, and they were 6th and 7th graders, you know, I was like, it's coming. Just keep that momentum.
So we just had our event last week. And it is kind of hard to do metrics on it. Right now, the feedback we've gotten is more anecdotal. We had a great engagement on our social media with each post. You know, sometimes you put stuff out there and nobody looks at it and you're like, well, why did I bother? But it wasn't the case with this. Questions from parents, so that was really good. From our our participants, they said they had a really good conversations with students, like thoughtful, meaningful questions. As far as any kind of percentages or that kind of stuff, I mean, I think we're too soon to tell. I don't know exactly what we'll get. One unique participant that we had, and the timing was just so good. They're having a mobile food pack event at a church a mile away from our school, and that's next February. And so they have a youth night, and it's for a specific date, and they had, I think, 123 spots left. So I'm going to follow back up and see, like, hey, did you see kids from Grisham? Were the kids wearing their Grizzly shirts? You know, that is something that we can track for sure. But I think our first year, our goal was just, let's see how this goes and if it makes an impact. And I think it has, and we're planning on doing it already. Just yesterday, I met someone who runs a nonprofit that is down the street from our school. And when I told her about the event, she said, "Oh, who planned that? I want to make sure I'm doing that." So, well, I helped. I'm sorry I didn't know about you, but you'll be there next year, you know, so more opportunities are just coming up.
So I know that I've heard y'all mention a few times, and I love it, that you're already planning next year. So that as soon as the first one ended, it's like, okay, now I learned, now I know, and we've got all these opportunities and everybody's excited. So now that you have the benefit of hindsight, what are kind of your tips that you can share for anybody else who's hosting it for the first time? What is it that you're wanting to do differently for next time? Whoever wants to answer, jump in.
If Google is your friend, you know, you can just Google local area nonprofits. They will tell you if there's opportunities for younger kids. You know, even start with the bigger nonprofits, start with the more established ones, because again, these people all know one another. They want to help. It is a community of service-minded individuals, and collaboration is the biggest key factor in the nonprofit sector right now. It's just everything is about collaboration. Because when we're all doing well, right? And so, you know, and the community only benefits. So don't feel like you can't just reach out to one or two area nonprofits and ask them, you know, hey, is there anyone that you know that you can connect me with, or just any local nonprofits that you know of? Contact your Humane Society, contact your food banks. You know, they know where everybody's at. You know, you can, and if you can't find an email address for an organization, just use the contact form. Even if it's not for exactly what you're trying to do, they're okay with that. I did not have a single organization that I solicited get back to me and say, thanks, no thanks. In any way. They would either say, we would love to, or that's just not something that we are equipped to do, or that our organization really just doesn't touch on that age group. But they're very helpful. Again, this is a community of helpers.
Mm-hmm.
And so let them help you. They will literally guide you on just so many different people to connect with and so many different ways to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo everything that Jill said. And knowing that it took us a couple months from when we saw the idea from Rawlinson to actually have our event, think about when you want to have your event. And we're going to try to target the fall next year also. And so we'll be starting towards the end of this school year to get it going. I think middle school is so interesting. You know, imagine if you had only been in your PTA for elementary school, kindergarten through second grade, and then you were done. You know, middle school goes really, really quick, and the kids are changing so much. You just got to jump on those opportunities. You know, don't hesitate. And like Jill said, people want to be there. They want to be part of this. And so it will come together better than you probably thought it would.
All right. Anything else we missed? Anything you forgot to say? Last call.
I forgot to mention, one of our board members is a graphic designer. And so over Christmas break, she put together our flyer, and that was so helpful. It's something that we can use again in the future. It ties into our IB characteristics. it had all the logos of the organizations that were coming. So we'll be able to use that hopefully year after year. And then that will be brand recognition also for our event. We named our event. We called it, our mascot is a grizzly, so we called it Grizzlies Give Back. I thought that was important to just kind of get that in there. When people hear about it, they know what it is. And again, since middle school PTA goes so quickly, on our shared Google Drive, we have something for programs. And then whenever you do whatever, you always make notes on it. And so it's just, the turnover is so great just because middle school is so quick. In another year or two, there could be someone who I've never met running Grizzlies Give Back. So I want to make sure that they have good notes going forward and all the contacts there. And so it can just be something that happens very easily.
I think moving forward for this coming year, one thing that I'm going to do differently is add on, with our PTA, just, kind of see if we can put a graphic together or something to publish on our socials that has a list of organizations that came during the fair, leading up to the holiday season, when people are always kind of wanting to do a lot of volunteer opportunities, because that just gives them a little more of a spotlight and a little more of a buy-in to come back the following year. They go to a lot of these events, and if you really want to make an impact, you have to just make sure that you are recognizing them through your socials, through your organization, and consistently kind of sending out more information here and there. It can't hurt.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing all your wisdom and insight. And Jill, to your point, PTA, just like all the other nonprofits, loves that collaboration and sharing. So these guys have graciously offered to share the tools and documents and resources that they pull together for our events. So be sure to look for that in the comments if you would like to host this event at your own campus. So hopefully y'all learned a lot today. I did. This is just so exciting to hear something that came together so well, that you guys are sharing with your community, that gets middle schoolers excited and involved. So thank you guys for the amazing work that you are doing at each of your campuses, and best of luck for the rest of the school year. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.